Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About It, Helping Our Students Heal. We're hoping our conversations today will answer questions and provide information about the various services available to support students and their families here in Shelby County Schools. I'm Dr. Jennifer Jeter, a supervising psychologist with Shelby County Schools Mental Health Center, and I'm joined today by Mental Health Center and schools counseling staff, as well as Shelby County Schools parent ambassadors. Thank you all for being with us today. Please, everyone, introduce yourselves.
Good morning. I am Chanel Connor. I'm a school counselor at Keystone Elementary School.
Good morning. I'm Susan Tiegelman, and I'm a school counselor at Lawrence.
Hi, my name is Jacada Jessup. I'm a school psychologist for the Shelby County Schools Mental Health Center, specifically serving on the threat assessment team, and I'm also a youth mental health first aid instructor.
Good morning, I'm Judy Keys and I'm with Family and Community Engagement.
Good morning, I'm James Nelson. I'm with the Family Community Engagement Office, Family Engagement Specialist.
Thank you all for being with us today. We have received questions from Shelby County Schools parents and we want to address them here. Let's get a little history about the Shelby County Schools Mental Health Center and counseling departments. Can you give us a little history on both those departments and also how you all work together?
We have had a mental health center licensed by the state of Tennessee since 1960, so we're 51 years old this year, and we provide mental health services to students and their families in a school-based setting at no cost to the families. We're able to provide prevention services, raise awareness about mental health concerns, individual and group therapy, prevention. All of those services are free to our families as part of being a student in Shelby County Schools.
Awesome.
For the school counseling side, school counselors provide, of course, individual counseling. You're going to do group counseling, classroom guidance. We do career and college awareness. One of the biggest things that we're going to do is, of course, looking at each child's individual needs, making sure that the child is looked at individually up to their fullest potential. That's most important, to make sure that you're looking at what that individual child needs.
Your work is such a key part of children achieving their academic and social success in the future. So let's get into some questions. The questions have been sent in and we want to do that here today.
Well, the first question we have is from CL Pre-K. How early can you detect mental health concerns and when is it the best time to seek help?
That's an awesome question. As a youth mental health first aid instructor, one of the things that the course teaches is that mental health concerns and challenges emerge pretty early on. And if you're a parent, you know if there's something going on with your child, and the school is a place that you can look to for guidance on what to do about that. Statistically, earliest signs of mental health challenges can be as young as a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old, even a preschool age. But by the time children are 8 to 10 years old, 50% of the problems that are likely to emerge will have already started to show some signs and symptoms. So there's really not too early a time to start paying attention.
Some of the things that individuals can do, whether it's parents or even assisting their children, is establish a routine at home, set up a schedule, and stick to that so that there's some consistency, that students can feel kind of supported with that. But the parents will feel supported in that as well because they know what is going to come next. But also establishing some activities to do together, as our counselors were sharing, that you can play board games, go for walks. But it also established some me time. Take some time to take care of yourself, just to take a bubble bath, read a book. Even just if you go for a walk on your own or go for a walk as a family, just establishing some things just to bring some calm and peace to yourself at home, and togetherness.
Yeah. I think it's just about having ideas out there for families. I think it's so important to be able to just having the list, because I think being able to research the things, it's hard. I think that's the stressful part. When parents call, I think I just know that if I have a bunch of ideas out there for them, that they don't have to look it up. They want to know that they have somebody to talk to, somebody to reach out to. So having, availability, that's most important. Them knowing that they have the hotline to be able to call,
Right.
That's very important. All those things, just accessibility.
Yeah, and that counselors are available, and the school mental health staff. There's someone assigned to every school, so there are people to reach out to get ideas. Okay, next question.
I have questions from multiple parents. Parents are wanting to know how to handle COVID stress at home and the anxiety around sending their children back to school, into the school setting.
So what's established at the schools?
Well, of course, social distancing, the 6 feet apart. We have the barriers set up at, around each desk. I've been very impressed. Of course, checking temperatures, hand sanitizing areas. At our typical school, we have over 900 students. Normally, I'm a K through A school. However, we basically don't have, we have around 200 and some kids back in the building, but we have anywhere from 8, probably I would say 5 to 8 students per classroom. So it's not as many kids per classroom as that you would think. I've been trying to get where I'll actually calm a parent's mind down by doing like a virtual tour where I'll take my, computer around to let a parent see what it looks like to kind of calm their mind down. Just because I feel that even if they can't come in the building, I want them to understand what it is. Just to let them understand what it looks like, because I think just not stepping foot back in the building is a stressor for them.
And I also want to piggyback off of that, because we have certain students that are still virtual, because there are some students that are virtual. Just the parents getting online with their child that's at home and seeing how the teacher is operating, seeing how the kids are operating, seeing the barriers that are there and how they line up and things like that, just go about their day. I think that kind of gives them a sense of calmness and that, okay, well, maybe this will work. Maybe we can get back to some normalcy. So I think just by them being virtual, some students still being virtual, some at school, and just showing the daily routine, I think that helps too as well.
If any students are having a difficult time handling that or adjusting to that, I know the counselors are available to handle that. How do you handle if any students having a rough time adjusting?
Well, I get them. Some of the kids that are in the building, they're still having a rough time. I go and talk to them, and we kind of take a tour of the building and just walk around and see how everybody's adjusting and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And then I also ask them, how do they feel? I want them to talk to us, so that way we can kind of gauge and get a sense of how they're feeling and what they're thinking and how they're thinking, and kind of just talk to them, and don't put so much pressure on them, because I think our kids are just, it's just so much going on, they don't know how to adjust and handle it. So we kind of smoothed it over with them a little bit.
Right. And following up on that, with the collaboration between the school counseling department as well as mental health, you all work together hand in hand, and so when students have a particularly hard time, that's when you make a referral to the. Yeah.
And talk to my social worker that I have, and it's always about talking together as a group, talking with everybody to express what's going on and to see if we can grab another resource or, and to see, then talk with the teachers and talk with the parents and, let them know what's out there.
It's a team effort.
Definitely.
Great.
It is, and I think that one of the things that's important for us to do for students and for parents and for teachers and for all of us in the building is just to normalize this whole COVID pandemic has been extremely difficult, and of course you're stressed, and that opens a door to talk about how do we manage that.
Right.
What are some good tips for managing those particular feelings that you're having, and then modeling that as the adults in the building for the students.
Yeah. Next question.
Which brings us to this question, which you kind of hit upon. It's a question from Highland Oaks Elementary, And if the children are following social distancing guidelines, how do I know that my son is also establishing and reinforcing healthy peer relationships?
I think the health of a relationship, or how to have a healthy relationship, hasn't changed. That the boundaries that are important in a good relationship are the same, but we are negotiating them differently, and we've had to be creative in every single situation. So I think that some of that has been possible to happen even when we're completely virtual and your child is maybe only interacting with peers on a screen. But I haven't found too many situations in the past year that we haven't been able to figure out, okay, this is how we've always done it, but how can we adjust it? And then the basic rules of how to get along with each other really are the same.
That flexibility. Flexibility piece with everybody, I think, has been important, and just knowing that kids, there's that resiliency, and it's just making sure that you're hearing the kids and knowing that everybody is just open to it. Reaching out, I think, is very important, knowing that you're listening to your kids, hearing them. Everybody is, I know adults are stressed, the parents are stressed, but the kids they're internalizing a lot, so it's important to make sure you're hearing them too. So.
Now, I heard you mention that you all do classroom guidance. Do you bring up how to interact with each other and peer relationships during those times?
Definitely. I think one of the hardest parts is trying to make sure that, especially with I think the virtual world with the classroom guidance, making sure that you're connecting with the kids. Sometimes the smaller groups, getting in there and making sure that you pull them in a little bit to get the connection and to talk to them a little bit more. Because in a classroom guidance setting, when you're in schools, it's easier, you can get the interaction more. But virtual, you can't give stickers out, you can't give prizes out or something like that, or you can't get a lot of kids to respond. But you get it as much as you can, so you want to get a reaction. So.
And for those students that have interpersonal difficulties creating those skills, that's another reason to possibly refer to a mental health clinician to help with that. And they're still doing groups.
Right. Or reach out one-on-one. We do. I mean, I know you probably do too, as an individual session, to just reach out and see how those students are doing.
Yeah.
Which I'm still doing.
Which leads me to answer your question about engaging the school social worker. We kind of go, when she comes, my social worker, and I'm gonna brag on her just a little bit, she comes on Wednesdays. We kind of go around to the classrooms and we visit and we kind of see what students are having a difficult time, what students are not, and then we kind of talk about it. And on Fridays we hold group sessions, like small group sessions, and we kind of talk about how they're feeling, their emotions and what's going on, and just trying to get to know them. I think if you get to know the student, they'll forever know your name and call on you and speak. So I think just getting to know them is a key piece.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Next question.
How do students learn social skills from peers during this age of COVID-19? And also, what can cause them to, again, parents to relax? I know we've talked about that a little bit, but are there any programs during the day, to assist the students with these services?
Social skills services?
Yes.
If they're having a particularly hard time learning how to interact with other students, or even if they're having difficulty interacting with the adults in the building or in their lives, then once they meet with the counselors and they can determine what that issue is, and they can refer them on to school social worker or school psychologist that's assigned to the school, and they can get them engaged in probably, in that sense, if they're having trouble with social skills, a social skills group. And that will help them to learn particular skills, but also practice those skills with other students in that group. And then they can generalize that to the classroom and to other social settings.
Another question was, are there any support groups, virtual, to assist parents and students during this time?
In the school setting, there are groups that the students are able to attend with the assigned school social worker or school psychologist. For parents, and they do family therapy as well. That's something important to understand, that family therapy can happen with the school social worker or school psychologist. So if there's a need there for support, then the families can get that. For parents, sometimes we will help connect them to services that are also in the community with some of our community partners to have just things just like that if they need group therapy or supportive therapy in the community, from the community.
This question is from Idlewild Elementary, and it says, what are we doing to stimulate the mental health of our children so that we can foster behaviors at a young age that promote them to take care of their mental health well-being?
I can go back and speak on that again, and I would say the number one thing that we are doing elementary and middle would be, again, classroom guidance, small group. We're going in, you're doing your social, emotional, groups that we're doing to specify which groups we need to concentrate on more, expressing, trying to get, at a young age, you're trying to make sure that the kids can talk about their feelings. It's so difficult for kids to even express themselves. So just being able to have them vocalize what their opinions are instead of it coming out with aggression or, emotions are hard, so that's it. Expressing it at a young age and being able to put a word to it is important.
So another thing that we're doing every Friday is social emotional learning circles. And so that kind of gauges the classroom teachers to come up with a topic in which the guidance counselor gives a overall topic, and they just talk about it, and they sit in a group, if even if it's conflict or not, they sit down, they talk about it, and they share their feelings, and they get to know each other. And I think that's another thing that kind of brings them closer together, and they kind of work on their feelings and work on their social skills, talking and listening to each other. So I think that's one thing that helps as well.
Yeah, I think as a district we have put a tremendous amount of emphasis on social emotional learning and the importance of teaching that along with reading and writing and other life skills. Part of that coming up to social emotional learning and the emphasis on that has been the introduction of training all staff regarding trauma-informed treatment, but also just trauma-informed schools, that a lot of our children face a lot of adverse childhood experiences, and we've learned that affects their ability to cope in life and in the classroom. And so the adults in the building know more about that now because the district has invested in that training. And then another piece of that, because we are paying so much attention to social emotional learning, is the Youth Mental Health First Aid Program that I mentioned earlier I'm an instructor for. In Shelby County Schools, we've had instruction available to any staff and also to folks in the community to become first aiders. And mental health first aid is very much like physical first aid. It is teaching adults how to respond to a mental health challenge or crisis until a professional is involved. So you learn how to identify emerging mental health problems, and you also learn how to open up a conversation with someone that you're worried about. And then you get some resources about how to connect them with those professionals that they might need. So those courses are available currently to anyone at no cost. And I'd love to provide information about how to get that to folks. We have a number that you can call to get information. It's 901-416-6266. And the course is also available for staff on PLZ as Youth Mental Health First Aid.
I have a question from a parent who wants to know, for families on Medicaid, what facilities or services provide ongoing services, and how can the district mental health staff assist with getting families these services?
So one great thing about our services, and we are for individual, group, and family therapy, a licensed mental health center. All of our clinicians are licensed as social workers or school psychologists, and that full range of services is available at no cost, whether you have Medicaid or not. We also have partners in the community if there are services that we're not able to provide where we can refer them. So that isn't a barrier, fortunately, for our students.
Very good. I have a question from Delano Head Start. What tips can the program provide about a child whose caregiver, grandmother, is deceased and the child needs to adjust in the classroom setting due to mental stress and grief of the family? And I'm sure this is not just this parent, but with everyone dealing with COVID. What can the mental health specialist provide the student?
Yeah, well, and I'm certain that the first line would be your professional school counselor. You're going to be there every day at the school and able to provide that very consistent level of support. So the main thing is for the family to let us know. You know, a lot of times we just don't know, and the student doesn't know that it would be helpful for them and for us to know.
Right.
But then if they do have something that moves beyond that, then certainly grief counseling is something that a mental health center staff person is able to provide at the school.
I was just going to interject and say the number one thing is that for parents that don't know how to reach out to start, first of all the schools have a website where the counselors have like, you get on your school website, you have to be able to, every counselor has a referral form that is on there. And that's where you go to do a referral form for counseling, and that's how you would link onto that. So every counselor has that as a referral for any type of counseling, grief, anything that they're needing, and you go ahead and you click on that, and then that way we would get the services that we needed for mental health or individual counseling that need to be referred to the social worker. So that would be the first start for that. So then we would get in touch with the social worker from there.
Okay.
And if they just don't happen to have internet, you know, I know there's some barriers there. They can always call the school and just let us know what's going on, and then we can kind of go from there, engage it to see what services we can offer the student.
And I'll piggyback on that as well very quickly. We also have established a phone line, a social emotional line for parents to call within the mental health center. The number is 416-8484. So if they have questions or needs, they can call that number and be connected with one of our social workers or psychologists manning that line from 9 to 5 every day. So if they have any questions, they can call that number and get some answers and be connected to some assistance or directed in the right direction.
I have a question, and I think you spoke on it earlier about when mental illness may begin for children. This question is, how do you tell if it's a behavior problem as a parent, or if a child is having a mental crisis? You know, how would a parent tell the difference between this behavior or if this is actually into mental health concerns?
Well, the first thing I would suggest is please come take our class. Become a youth mental health first aider so you can understand that for your child or for other children that you meet. Outside of that, I think the main thing to pay attention to is this a change for your child? You know your child. And if something new is happening and something is disturbing, then let's figure out what's going on. And it may be situational, it may be something they're adjusting to, but it might be beyond that and something that you would want to seek some assistance either at school or from your pediatrician to talk more about that and just get some more information.
And I just want to interject and say that I don't want the parents to be afraid to contact the counselors at the school, because that's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. And then that way we can kind of gauge it and go and talk with our school social worker and involve everyone else. So just reach out to us, just let us know, you know, we're not here to judge, we're here to help, that's what we're here for. And just let us know, you know, what's going on and what they're doing, and that way we can all kind of put our heads together, because no one person can just work everything by themselves. So we all come together as a group and we talk about it, and we move forward.
Yeah, another thing that I want to emphasize is that we really don't talk enough about the problems that children are having or that adults are having. And mental health problems are extremely common. Let's see, how many of us are at this table? 1 in 5 adults in America will at some point meet the criteria for a mental health diagnosis and benefit from treatment. And so at least one of us is likely statistically to be struggling with that. And so if you're a classroom teacher and you have 20 children in your classroom, you have at least 4 students who are likely to struggle within a given year with a mental health concern. So I want parents to just know that that's pretty common and that there's a lot of help available. And trying to figure it out at home alone is just going to be a terrible stress and keep your child from getting access to treatment. And just like with any other health problem, the earlier we intervene, the better our outcomes are.
Agreed.
And sometimes it's just an adjustment period.
Right.
And I just always tell parents, reaching out to let us know if we can help you for a period of time is better than not knowing.
Anything else when it comes to some suggestions about how families can handle their stress, even as it related to COVID, or just stress in general, or anxiety in general?
Designate some time to spend, like we're all busy and everybody has their schedule, but within that schedule, designate just that specific time that I'm going to spend with my family, and then you can do yourself. And if you have more than one child, because I know every child wants all that time. I want that mommy time, I want that daddy time, give them that 5 minutes. But we have to kind of routinely get into their routine. So you have to start somewhere. So, but if you give them that time, like just designate a time to say, hey, this is gonna be family time on Saturday at 5 o'clock. You're not doing anything else but having family night. I don't care if it's a game night, movie, or however you do it. Just do that.
And I say, tell the kids, it has to be free stuff. But come up with a creative free stuff, but it's the kids' ideas, Okay, what is it, the kids it has to be with or under $5, something that's under and is a budget. But if the kids come up with it, then it's their idea. They get more excited if it's their idea. And I know that goes for the kids in elementary, but I promise you, even the middle school kids, when it comes to it, they don't care if it's playing a video game. It's a video game that's their time. Right. Or basketball or whatever it is. They came up with it. It's their idea. So. And
I'm gonna even say a high schooler, all they need is the ear. If you just give them a listening ear for that 5 or 10 minutes, I promise you. Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate you all being here today, and your input. It's been invaluable. I know that our families have gained a lot from today. What I would hope that we can do as we wrap up is just again explain to those who are with us how to get in touch with you all, or how to get in touch with mental health. I know that I'll share that number one more time for our social emotional line. Is 416-8484. And that is open from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And you can talk directly with a mental health clinician. But how would they get in touch with you all if they have questions, or if they need to set up a meeting, or need to connect with you all and mental health? Will be this.
Again, it's going to be through our school websites. They can call our school. For the counselors, they could go and contact the school to contact or through the website.
Okay, great.
And then if they were interested in youth mental health first aid courses, that number again is 901-416-6266.
Great. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you all and great sharing this time with you all, and we appreciate you. Look for our part 2 of this discussion coming up in the next few weeks. We'll be spending some time talking about social justice and mental health. So we look forward to you all. Thank you. Let's talk about it.